You are live, it tells me. Good evening, people. All 5 of you at the moment. The counter's got to catch up. And we'll see what the lag is to YouTube. That's 10:15. Audio's fine. Yeah, good evening, people. All 5 of you. Well, 3 of you, because there's 2 of us here. Good evening, Ray. Yeah, it's been an exciting week so far. Don't know why we've only got 6 in. There should be a lot more than that. Well, not a lot more, but there should be more than that by now. But
they're all updating the computers.
Yeah, everybody's updating their computers, I expect. We've had to do it today. Heather's got another one waiting. Good evening, Marines. How are you, mate? But yeah. I suppose one of the silliest ones today has been this announcement of bringing the old dire wolf back to life, isn't it? Using DNA and genealogy or whatever it is they do. Good evening, Matrix. How you doing, buddy? Been a while. Yeah, they want to do it with a woolly mammoth next. I mean, they're reintroducing all these predators. So they've already got wild wolves up in Scotland again. Good evening, Stitch. But yeah, a couple of nice little cute puppies that look like just Alsatian puppies to me, but they say they're dire wolves. They just showed the 2 boy ones, but they have got a little bitch as well. There was 3. Whether they're going to try and breed them, I don't know. But we know the problems with breeding between siblings, don't we? Yeah, total mutation. But why are they doing this? I mean, bringing the woolly mammoth back to life is the next one. I mean, they're already trying to push us back into caves. What's next? The dinosaurs? Are they turning the clock back on history? And we're going to all live in caves and the dinosaurs are going to take over the land?
These are people that haven't seen Jurassic
Park. Exactly. And think with the so-called global warming.
Just what you need is
it's just what the dinosaurs were used to, wasn't it?
Can you imagine them complaining about a woolly mammoth's farts, though?
Yeah. The turds will be all right for the roses. Huh? Yes, Matrix. There was another 500 came across yesterday morning. Good evening, Ska. The way I see that is not 500. What I see there is at least 2 good hotels full. You know, considering Starmer said he was going to empty the hotels, they're just opening more and more of them.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, to me, yeah, we're giving billions away to other countries, but that is the single biggest strain on the finances in this country, is that lot. But as I'll say in a minute, they've come up with another new plan to stop it. Yeah, that's the 500 they've caught, Ray. You know, nobody advertises that there are ones that are getting smuggled across up north in fishing boats and the like. And the ones that do sneak through on lorries. And I dare say there's 1 or 2 stowaways on some of the cross-channel ferries at some point. But yeah, they've pushed this digital ID again with, I think it was around 40 Labour bods, MPs, backbenchers, whatever, are calling for it and support it. But the biggest laugh about it is they're saying it will stop the boats coming. How the fuck is a digital ID going to stop the boats? That is the most ridiculous statement that they've ever come out with. Oh, it'll also give you, if you're old in particular, preferential access to the NHS. Well, that was put in place weeks and weeks ago, that they're going to prioritise some of the olds. We already have digital access to the NHS with their app. So their excuses for bringing the digital ID in are negligible. I mean, we know what it's for. We know it's to control what we do, control what we spend, control what we go, control your finances. You know, they can even stop you eating by pushing a button and turning your finances off. Facial recognition, which seems to be popping up more and more everywhere now. But what good is that? IMO, what good is the facial recognition if they let everybody wander the land in fucking burqas? We just put one of them on, go out in public, they still don't know who the fuck you are. You know, you can arrange it so you can't see if you got tits and bollocks or not. So, yeah, if they want them to take over, then what's the point of the digital recognition, facial recognition cameras? No, exactly, mate. They'll charge one of us, with a misdemeanor. They break a crime, break a law that has been in place for so many, many years, just by entering the country or trying to get in the country. I think the law states attempt without relevant paperwork. That is a crime. Yet none of them do get charged with it. You know, you try that in any other country, you'd be right in the shit. I mean, it's harder to come back through a shipping port or a fucking airport when you're white with an English fucking passport, got a fucking house here. There's all sorts of questions to be answered. You have to show all your paperwork. Yeah, these fuckers just walk in. Here's your paperwork, here's your new phone. That's where you'll be living. Your meals will be bought to you. Put your laundry out, we'll do that. You know, oh, by the way, we've got the heating on if you want it. It's just so fucking wrong. But then you tie into that, think about it, lowering the voting age to 16, which Comrade Starmer talked about. Sorry if I'm a bit gruff today, guys. My throat's still sore. Nothing to do with Mrs. W trying to cut it or anything. It's just got a sore throat. It's
the razor blades in the food I'm feeding you.
Oh, you've been putting it. Is that the crunchy bits?
Yeah.
Ah, now I know. Check the food before consumption. But no, seriously, bringing down the voting age to 16. Now, when you look around now, who's got the biggest growing group of children? The ones that they say are outbreeding us. And I agree, they are. Simply because the British are too clever and too educated to bring a child into the world with the way the things are at the moment. They can't afford to. Good evening, Loafer. Oh, and you think about it, every kid's dream was get married, get the house, then you have children. That's not happening now. At least watch. Cheers, Loafer. But yeah, think about it. You know, this country's slowly regressing into the third world, and as I said, that's the first step towards cave dwelling and dinosaurs and everything else. You know, that it's not just animal DNA they fucked around with over the last few years, is it? Think about that one. Can't say too much over that on that, otherwise the faceless cowards at YouTube will fucking crucify me again.
You're lying.
You're lying. Misinformation. Yeah, just like the last one was that came straight from a fucking doctor, YouTube. Still took the bastard down though, didn't you? But I suppose the biggest story, and it's so funny how mainstream media haven't touched it, was Katie Lamb's speech in the House. Absolutely condemning the fact that they're covering up and not allowing the grooming gangs inquiry. Now, I did put the video up of that speech today. I did edit a couple of bits out. Other people have put them on YouTube, the whole thing, but I didn't. It was very, very graphic, and I know at least some of my, especially female viewers in here and on my videos, I didn't want to upset any of them by showing it, but it is available on YouTube. But she pointed out the absolutely disgusting bits. A couple of bits of screen. Yeah, fair enough, love. But excuse me if I'm not reading too many comments at the moment. I'm just concentrating on what I'm saying. But yeah, now we obviously know that it's being held up because it will happen one way or the other. As I said, Rupert Lowe's one, if it goes ahead, might expose a few things. But as I said in the video earlier in the week, what he finds out and what they bring up, it has very, very little legal standing because it's not a government-run inquiry. But it's going to expose so many things. And I think the biggest exposure, which is what they're terrified of, is just how many of those elites are complicit, even involved. You know, that is a possibility, as we know. The police, the council officials, the welfare officials. You know, there could be so many people involved in this. You know, many people think these people are involved, quite possibly. I prefer to go on evidence, but a lot of the evidence is pointing that way. Compromat. Yeah. But, you know, she actually pointed out who she thought was doing most of it, and I'm inclined to agree with her totally. The other silly cow that stood up and said, oh, there's thousands and thousands of white people do it. You know, apparently she was a victim. But that was more likely to be rape. But yes, she is correct. I mean, you know, there are groups of white men that do exactly the same thing. But you don't usually see groups of them hanging around outside schools and the like, do you? You know, they prefer to stay in the shadows, and even so, it's nowhere near on the level of the, shall we say, the other ideology. No, I'm not saying it's all Muslims. As I've said regular, I've known Muslims, like the lad at the corner down here, got the corner shop, he's a Muslim. And he thinks what's going on is absolutely disgusting. I have chatted to him about it on the odd occasion when I've had my chance. He's unwilling to come on camera, obviously. A bit like the nurses I talk to, they tell me everything that's going on, but they won't come on camera. I've told them they don't have to actually appear. I can just put voice on It will be recorded. It won't be live, so I can use my voice changer to change their voices. But very reluctant, unfortunately. Well, the thing is, Loafer, with the amount of them that are involved in this, you know, they could be connected countrywide. We know they've passed them from town to town in the past. Yeah, exactly, Wade. It's all about demographic numbers at the moment. We are still the majority, but we're not the ones being catered for and listened to, unfortunately. But as I've said before, to them, Starmer's just another infidel, but he's doing what they want. So they'll back him. And this is what I believe giving the 16-year-olds the vote is, because certain demographic of young kids will absolutely be told by their parents who to vote for. I think most white kids would, because the youth of today just haven't got a fucking clue. You know, it's as if Starmer is deliberately trying to force racial war, call it for a better word, in this country. Yeah, I will admit, Ray, there's people that have been here from other cultures, other races for, way before I was born even. But they're the ones that have integrated into society. They have, on the whole, lived by our laws. Yes, we knew there was Sharia law and that going on back in the day. You know, punishments were dished out to their own, which is, I believe, is wrong what they do. But, you know, that wasn't out in public. That they weren't pushing for Sharia courts and shit like that. I mean, you look at some of the things they're trying to do now. They want us to ban dogs. They don't want us to have any pet dogs. Well, fuck off to a country where you don't have any then. You know? Brits have owned dogs for hundreds of years. Well, thousands, if you think about it. Just because you come here, you want us to get rid of them? Go fuck yourselves. You know, I mean, one, was it an imam said, if you stop doing banned halal meat, made it halal meat illegal, they would have to leave. Well, there's a simple fucking solution straight away. If he thinks they'll all leave, ban it, make it illegal. You know? I mean, I'm a meat eater. I love me meat. But I wouldn't like to think an animal has suffered for, you know, yes, kill, to eat, quick, efficient. But the way they do it, that's just, it's horrible. And believe me, I've had to cut an animal's throat in the past, and it's not a nice thing to see. Unfortunately, it was the only way I had of dispatching a very fatally injured sheep many years ago that had fallen down a load of rocks and broke its back and its neck and what have you. And that was the only option on me because I had my sheath knife on. But yeah, this is the trouble matrix. I mean, when they would, you know, nice small little communities, there was no issues with you know, there was interracial marriages and many interracial kids back in the days, especially in the 60s, 70s. They're the sort of years I'm talking about. But they revolved. They you know, respected our laws. They had their own little communities. They weren't marching up and down the streets saying, you got to fucking change this, you got to change that. You know?
They didn't get upset with our flag.
No, they were quite happy. They used to call themselves British.
I was going to say it was their flag as well.
Yeah. You know. Oh, Sadiq Khan, don't need to get me started on that little dictator, eh? He is the worst thing that has ever happened to London. You know, he's decimated London, as somebody put, better than the Great Fire of London and the fucking Blitz did. I mean, it's dropped off the list now, apparently, of the top 5 richest cities in the world. That's all down to Rachel from accounts, scaring off all the people with their money. And the non-dom situation is not going to help. You know, don't forget, these are all the ones that shop at the top, like, you know, Knightsbridge and Harrods and stuff like that, you know, where they'd make big money from. But they're scaring off millionaires, billionaires, entrepreneurs. You know, it's not a brain drain from the country. It's a money drain. And that's what she's created. And she's just making it even worse. I mean, this silly fucking idea of this Universal Adventure Centre or whatever it's going to be. A bit like Disneyland, I presume. In the middle of Bedfordshire. Starmer reckons it'll rake in billions in the first year. No, it fucking won't, you idiot, because by the time it's built, no bastard will be able to afford to take their kids there. No, I wouldn't make tricks. I would not go to London. For a start, my health issues probably wouldn't help, because, you know, I can't walk for more than a few meters at a time, and then I'm struggling to breathe. I can't stand for more than 5 minutes because my muscles just go into spasms. But I certainly, even if I was fit, I wouldn't go to London.
You don't want the Lord to be Lord Mayor then?
No, I left that to an ancient relative of mine. We've been there once and fucked up. We're not going back. But there are still streets, and I believe still an old ancient pub bearing my name up there, my surname. There used to be the Whittington clothes market, rag market, they used to call it. But no, I even thought about a year or so ago going down to one of the protests down in the city here. But I wouldn't even last that. You know, if I was fit enough to stand my attitude towards the police, I'd get myself fucking locked up anyway. Because I'd end up flattening the first fucker that annoyed me. But so it's just as well I can't go to them. But yeah, London is ruined. It's gone. It's fallen. And it's all thanks to Khan. Hello, Stuart, mate.
Evening, Stuart.
Yeah, Khan. I mean, there was somebody posted the photos of, it might even have been a video actually, you know, of some guy smoking crack on the underground. Well, you get into a carriage and you don't see any police. But there again, they'll turn around and arrest you if you stare at a woman for too long and she complains. Yeah, they'll let them get away with sitting there smoking crack, you know. I've tried many things over the years, and that's one thing I haven't tried, and I don't want to. To be honest, it's evil. You know, and once this new one coming over from America, at the moment, is it fentanyl? Something like that. I mean, that just, well, we don't need any more zombies in this country. We've got the phone zombies, haven't we?
And the Labour Party. Oops.
And the Labour. By the way, she's responsible for her own comments, not me. if she gets me into trouble. But
It's
yeah,
a sad world when you can't have a joke about stuff. It really is.
it is. It's, and you think about it now, that ties in nicely to the bit that I've got here.
Happy to help you with a link.
I've got me notes that of the video I was going to do today until I saw that speech. But yeah, we know the Mets struggling financially. They're due to, or have said they're possibly looking at losing 1,700 coppers. Some of those will be backroom staff, obviously. They won't be frontline, actually warranted officers. Some will be normal members of the public that just work for them. But they're still saying it's going to be around 1,000. And then today, they've released that possibly 370 of what I consider very needed coppers at the moment are going to be withdrawn from working in and around and with the schools. Good evening, Graham. How you doing, buddy? Flying visit? Yeah, well, they got more than that on fucking sick leave that they're not allowed to put out in public-facing jobs, aren't they, Ray? So they could start with them. But these 370 are supposed to be the ones that teach the kids safety. They're there because of all the stabbings and that around schools. It does seem a lot of them happen there. Yet they're withdrawing those. They're going to be reassigned. What they're going to be reassigned to? Kicking my fucking door in because I put a nasty meme on Facebook or Twitter or something. That's what they'll call reassigned. They want all these extra thousands of coppers on the beat and community coppers. Ain't going to happen. Most forces are laying them off. You know, they reckon they could be losing over 40,000 coppers on one report I seen countrywide. Yeah, they're just government thugs now, Ray. That's all they are. They say they're not. I mean, that stupid little Bint Cooper says, oh no, they're still an autonomous police force. Are they fucked? If they were an autonomous police force, you would not be getting knocked on your door for memes. Because you know, they'd think about what they were doing, but they're not. They're just following government orders. And they'd have been even worse. I'm quite glad that they pulled that bill for considering two-tier reports for sentencing. Good evening, Karen. That's what they were. It weren't actually two-tier justice as such, but being instructed to consider ethnicity and religion in notes. Those notes are always considered when sentencing, and there should be no difference for the same fucking crime as any sentencing one of us would get. If you're a criminal, you're a criminal, and the punishment should be the same across the board. How many times have we heard a judge say ignorance of the law is not a defence? Yet you look how many have received a lower sentence in the last few months even because of their religious beliefs. One 15-year-old lad rapes a girl and he says, well, I didn't know it wasn't allowed under the law here. Sorry, you should have been sentenced the same as anybody else. Oh yeah, I forgot he's in the background there. Good evening, Resist, mate. I did see the email earlier, thank you. Yeah, that's what I said, Graham. If they did put it through, it does clash with the Equalities Act 2010. that nobody should be discriminated against by race, religion, ethnicity, colour. So the two laws would contradict each other. Yeah, maybe somebody actually spotted that. I mean, I spotted that issue straight away as soon as they started talking about it. But not one of the idiots in the house. But yeah, disability. Yeah, exactly, Graham. You know, there was the big thing. Oh, you can't discriminate against the disabled. You got to put wheelchair access into all new buildings. You got to have wider doors. They're just unbelievable. They really are. But this Disney fucking, not Disney, Universal, isn't it? You know, do they not realise that the world is turning against these absolutely woke actors that star in these films? You've only got to look at what's happening to Hollywood. Yet they want to build something like Disney World in the middle of Bedford. It just won't work. And apparently, the company that are doing it, Universal, they're actually owned by Sky TVs.
Maybe it's so they can give jobs to their newsreaders that they're going to lay off.
Yeah, you killed the Sky News readers down there because they're getting booted out of Sky. Yeah. But, yeah. But I mean, the money that this government could save if they just looked at their fucking selves. I mean, look at that twat Lammy. Food, drink, food, drink, private jet, more food and drink on that. I mean, do you know what I see? This, what I see when I see David Lammy. Now, do you remember Fat Bastard from the Austin Powers movies? Feed me belly. Now, I see David Lammy as the Netflix version of Fat Bastard. The AI creation of Fat Bastard. Yeah, exactly, Ray. Now, I've said this for a long, long time. Back as far as lockdown, actually, when I started my channel, it was things I was looking into when they were, the first thing came up about the 15-minute cities and bollocks. Well, all you're going to end up with is loads of fucking ghettos. And it'll end up with, you know, fights between the two. Oh, you've crossed into my fucking territory, right? I'm going to take you out. And this is the divide they've started to cause back then. And all they're doing is accelerating it now. You think about all the different fractions that they've let get away with what they want. You know, the pro-Palestine marches in London and what have you. And you've only got to see which ones they back to see what they want. But, you know, we can see it coming. We've talked about it for the last few years. And still fuck all gets done. They can't be blind to it. They must know it's there. They must know what we're saying. Or some of them there do. They're just not passing that on to, you know, the dicks in the front row, as it were.
The big problem is having let them get away with it, they can't now change their mind and say, oh no, actually, we don't want you to do that. They've set the precedent. They can't go back.
Yeah, well, Starmer, you know, they're backing down on a few things, not because they want to, it's because they fucking got to. I mean, they're going to have to back down on these tariffs from Trump because we're going to lose so much money. You know, but they don't see that. Oh, yeah, it's only 10%. We're not worried about it. but it's 25% on motors. And getting us involved in another trade war, it's just going to cost this country even more. We're on the highest interest rate now that there's ever been, or as Silver Fox put it, has been for the last 30 years, simply because of the amount of borrowing they're doing. They can't keep borrowing like that. You know, they're absolutely decimating the economy. And they think they're doing well. Everything's on the up. But they're on the outside. They're not in here fucking living it. You know, an extra £100 a week on a food bill, they probably wouldn't even fucking notice it. Whereas to us, out here, £100 is a lot of fucking money. Yeah, he has backtracked on one or two, Matrix. I see Trump as a bit like myself. He'll get talking about something, he'll go totally off track, and he'll say something that drops himself in it. And he's done that a few times. But to me, that shows a bit of honesty, you know. I mean, the ones it's really, really going to hit. Yeah, exactly, Graham. They censor us. China, I mean, their businesses are collapsing over there, left, right, and centre at the moment. And that was even before these tariffs come in. There's, I can't remember what was the name of the channel. I do drop in there. China Insight, I think it's called. You know, just to see what's happening over there. Found out a few truths about one or two things. And it's not what people say. But, you know, they're building, they're knocking down whole cities that they built that have never been lived in because they're so badly built. And for many years now, they've grown their economy on supplying cheap goods that don't last. There's no quality in them. And people have got used to the disposable life. Oh, if it's only a couple of quid, but say a British one is a tenner, people will quite happily buy the one for a couple of quid, use it for 6 months. Oh, if it breaks, we throw it out and buy another one. And that's the sort of economy that people have got into now. It's a disposable world. You know, but we're not even getting recycling done around here at the moment because obviously we've got no bin collections. But again, the green energy. Yeah, COVID was I believe it was a test to see how compliant not just this country was, but the people in other countries as well. I'm convinced of that. Some people might call me a conspiracy theorist for it. I don't give a fuck what you call me. As Graham says, call me anything you like as long as it's not late for dinner. But yeah, it's all about the control. And again, this is what the digital ID system's all about, and the central bank. It's and you know, I've been saying this for at least the last 4 years. And you know, some people have listened, other people, you know, bigger channels than me put it out and they listen to those as well. You know, we got quite a nice little community for this channel. Most of the subscribers don't take part. But my regulars are always respectful, considerate. Most of us are like-minded. You know, yeah, we've had debates on things over the last few years. We used to do quite a bit of it on Discord, actually. So YouTube couldn't fucking interfere. But, yeah, you know, there was no shouting. Nobody was threatening anybody. You know, if you got a different idea, different opinion to somebody, it doesn't matter. But it's when you try and force that opinion on people, that's where the problem starts. And this is what we're seeing with Islam. There's no compromise. It's their fucking way or you die. You've got to follow my religion or you die. Yeah. You can't debate with people like that. And with more and more of them now becoming councillors, MPs, we're seeing them in the House now. And it is a gradual takeover. And sadly, the government's letting it happen. Not just this government. I'd blame the Tories on that as well. It started mainly under their watch. Yeah, unfortunately for them, Scar, as you know, you've been with me long enough. I went through all the rules, all the law that they brought in surrounding it. And I used to go out for at least 3 hours a day walking. I'd walk up Sutton Park. I'd walk up through the town, no mask, done a bit of shopping, couldn't give a flying fuck. And I did come across 1 or 2 coppers up there. One got a bit anti on something I got involved in, but I just called them out for what they were, and he knew damn well he couldn't touch me. I had the letter of the law in my pocket. In fact, I had several copies because I handed it to a few coppers. And even they were shocked. Oh, well, we were told we could do this. I said, no, you fucking can't, mate. Oh, you're only allowed out for an hour. No, there's nothing in the law or the act or even the emergency act that says you've only can only be out for an hour a day. So go fuck yourself, And it was quite funny. I mean, some of you will remember it. I did a video on it when it happened. I got talking to probably 2 decent coppers, as it turned out. I don't know what they're like now, mind. And I gave him this bit of paper, and he had a rookie with him. And he turned to him and he said, well, this is the chap that I was on about. He said he knows everything around the restrictions and what you can and can't do. And he said, go and ask him some questions. And he spent about 5 minutes asking me questions. And I debunked and pointed out to him, none of it's relevant. You can't do any of what you think you can. And then he read down the list. He said, oh. He said, really? I said, well, one list there is the list from the government and the other list is from your commanders, from your top brass. And the look on his face was absolutely priceless. He said, so we can't even stop and ask people for ID? I said, no. What's the first line on there? In high text. He said, oh, you have no powers of stop and account. I said, exactly. That means you can't stop people and ask where they're going, what they're doing. You have absolutely no power to stop us unless you think we're committing a crime. And none of what you consider a crime or what you've been told is a crime isn't. So apparently this little lad went back and handed this bit of paper in that I'd give him to his sergeant. The following time I saw them, about a fortnight later, they were cursing me because the sergeant had taken on board what I'd actually given him. And it was adding about 10 minutes to their little chats in the morning on what they can do and what they can't do, where they're going to go. It added time to that. So they did take notice, and we didn't get a lot of hassle with them round here. I mean, just the one time, which I did the video on. If anybody's never seen it, it's one of my first, probably few videos. It's called Police and Bonus Karen. It was an interaction I had with them where they were trying to force somebody else and arrest him for going in a shop without a mask, even though he was exempt. And he'd explained to the staff that he was exempt before he even entered the shop, and they were quite happy to let him in. They watched him go in and they grabbed him as he came out. And fair play to the guy, he wouldn't give up his ID. He wouldn't give them any information because he had no reason to do so. But as soon as I started filming it, there were 2 talking to him, and I think it was 7 around me because I was filming. I put myself up against one of the brick pillars outside the shop so the bastards couldn't grab me from behind. And one little gobby little copper right in my face, so I just gave him shit, basically. All right, Graham, no worries, mate. Yeah, it is hard to listen to it sometimes. I know, mate. And it's, believe me, when you're a creator putting out videos about this and the shit that's going on, it does get to you sometimes. And that's why I take a step back now and again to gather my own thoughts, as it were, and clear my own head. You know, and seeing it all day, every day, because I can't go out and do anything like I used to due to the illnesses and restrictions that I've got. But yeah, you take care of yourself, Graham.
Bye for now, Graham.
There probably won't be a video tomorrow, by the way, Graham. I'm going to have a total day off. I might be a bit active on Facebook. I probably shan't bother with Twitter tomorrow either, so unless there's something really important that needs to come out, obviously I'll put up a short or something. But you know the crack, Graham. Stay safe, stay strong, stay free, no matter what you're doing. Just having a look what else I've got bloody written down here. You know what my memory's like. I'll have an idea of something I was going to talk about in my head, and it just totally fucking disappears. Oh, yeah, that was one. Starmer got a grilling yesterday from the select committee. And he was asked about any of these things that they've been doing and putting in place. Had they done any risk assessment on them? See what it would mean to the public, you know. And they hadn't. Even down to the budget and the tax things. Oh, he's at that again, is he, Lothar? I haven't been on there today, to be honest. I just posted the video on there and that was it. But yeah, these assessments should have been done before they put these things in place, and they weren't. He couldn't explain why. He tried to give a load of bullshit excuses, because it is one of the only place where he gets thrown questions that he doesn't know beforehand. But one thing did come out, and he's actually done something he promised to do. They looked into the spending on, I'll call them company credit cards, so they're government credit cards. But for the sake of argument, I'll call them company credit cards. Now, we know the frontline bods, the MPs in the House from all parties, except for Raj, he pays for himself, by the way. They just fill their pockets with whatever they can. If they can get away with paying for it with taxpayers' money on a credit card or expenses, they do. Lamb is a prime example, but he's by far from the worst. The worst is Starmer. But they looked into this, and lo and behold, some of the civil service were having their cards rejected. And apparently they've lowered the limits. One report I saw was they went to Five Guys for some burgers, and they got rejected. The card got rejected. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But apparently the limits have been drastically reduced. Oh, here we go. Fucking motion sensors turned itself back on again.
And Five Guys are quite expensive for a burger place.
The Five Guys are very expensive. But they've learnt their lesson a bit here in Birmingham, or in the city. I'm not actually in the city. So certain hand gestures set the motion sensor off the thing that's tracking on that bloody camera I got. Yeah, Five Guys, I think it was in Birmingham, went over to all halal meat in their burgers and that. Took alcohol out, wouldn't serve alcohol and shit, and they're suffering for it. No fucker goes in there. But I think the biggest drop was for entertaining. Their limit used to be $2,500, I think it was. And that's been lowered now to 500 quid. So that's $2,000 they've lost off they can spend on entertaining. Whether that was per person or per party, I don't know. But $2,500, yeah, the places they go and eat and shit, you could do that per person quite easily, couldn't you? Lammy could do it all on his fucking own, I expect. But
What a damn good job.
yeah. I mean, it's not as if the fat fuck's going to starve, is it? You know what I mean?
Here's the company card for a week. Let me see what
well, I thought they were going to get rid of that amount of that many civil servants. But I think all they're going to do is shuffle them around rather than get rid of them. That seems the way they do it. Has that fucking thing turned itself back on? No. But anyway, for those that inquired after yesterday's video, Mrs. W is fine. She's been having problems for a while now. Is it your chest?
If I do anything like hanging out the wash and I end up with this chronic pain across my back between my shoulders, but that's because I'm unfit, I'm unhealthy, but doing this tends to give me this backache. Just lately, I'm getting that and the pain right here in the middle. I went to the doctors, he said, right, next time it happens, ran to A&E, suspected heart attack. So I was a bit uncomfortable on Monday, had nothing better to do, so went and sat for 10 hours in A&E to be told it's fucking indigestion.
Well, it was longer than that because I didn't pick you up till 11 o'clock Monday night. But,
all right, 11 hours.
But it's how they work. Now, she had a blood test. This was in the evening. She'd had several through the day. She had as many bloody pinholes and bruises in her as I've got, you know. But because the evening, the lab at the hospital was shut. So she would have had to have sat there for 4 hours while this blood was taken over to Heartlands, one of the other hospitals, be tested there, results sent back, you know, and the doctors that were seeing her fucked off, their shift had finished. Yeah, that prick West Street in says, oh no, the health service is working fine now.
But having been told there's nothing wrong with me, the next time I get these pains, I've got to go back, just in case that one is a heart attack.
Well, it's like me every time when I get the tremors and the cramps and things, all my fucking legs falling off, you know. Well, I just deal with it. but my problem is I can't take painkillers because they react with some of the other meds I'm on, in particular the steroids for the COPD. I can't even take indigestion tablets or shit like that. Apparently it's bad for me, and it could end up with more blood clots. But there you go. But that's enough about me and enough about her. I think that's everything on the list. Yeah, that's just about everything there. So how's everybody else's world going out there? I took up an hour of your time. Now I'll give you an hour to bring up what you want. You know, is anybody else seeing the same as me? Is there anybody else out there that disagrees with me? Or has got different opinions on it? You know, I mean, it's obvious the only way we're going to sort immigration out is first thing is stop the boats. Once they're stopped, can't complain. Roger, good evening, Brian. How you doing, buddy?
Evening, Brian.
Life's okay. Yeah, I was naughty the other day, Brian. I went out and bought a new camera. It is an AI one. I don't know how to use after features on it, but it's one of these that I can do that. It'll flash, and then it'll track me wherever I move. But that's the only thing. It centers itself every bloody time. And it started itself earlier on. I thought I turned the hand gestures off, but when I was putting the vape in, it took my hand going to my mouth as a signal to start doing it again. West Street ancestors must have been in the Titanic oyster. Fair enough, Scott. Yeah, I mean, you know, you don't always have to, Karen. I do come up with some weird things. Oh, you've been building speakers, have you, Brian? No, it was a toss-up between a camera and maybe a new microphone. But this microphone's absolutely fine. It didn't cost a fucking lot. And I've been bothered for ages now with cameras that have suddenly freeze and what have you. So Heather said, well, look, just for once, forget doing everything on the cheap and buy yourself a decent one. So I looked at the reviews, and at the moment, that was the best one on the list. It's the Instalink 360 Link 2. It's all very clever.
Plus, I found it on Amazon almost.
Yeah, you found it a bit cheaper, about 30 quid cheaper than what it's advertised at. But yeah, it had some really, really good reviews. So I took her advice and bought something a little bit more expensive for a change. I've got nothing up here in cameras that costs anything more than 20 quid. Well, I have got me the Canon up there, but it's going to cost 40 quid for the bits and the false battery and everything to wire all that up. So, and I like to use that just as a camera. Yeah, I'm all good here, Karen. I'm suffering the same as normal with fatigue. It's been getting a bit on top of me. And obviously you can hear me breathing. That don't help, and I'll probably have some of that in a bit.
Yeah, I've tried to stop it, but he's still breathing.
Gordo, hello, mate. Didn't see you there. Went down to the field earlier.
Been
Didn't
there
get
ages.
casting practice. Yeah, unfortunately, Gordo, I'm going to have to wait till July to find out if I'm still able to do it, basically, with my problems at the moment. I'll certainly give it a go. And there will be some clips and videos coming out of it, I expect.
You say that every year you record hours and hours of footage of nothing happening.
Yeah.
And then when you do catch something,
I forget to turn the camera on.
Turned on.
Yeah. Oh, you're going back home for a week, are you, Karen? Well, this year we're going to our usual place. We may look into another venue for next year. We do want to try and get away for a couple of weekends, so we can go and look a bit down sort of the west coast, or even some of the west country, Devon and that. You know, there's fishing everywhere if I can still do it. But the thing is, it's the seclusion up there we like. So, you know, I'd quite happily go up there and just sit in the cottage or on the beach at the bottom of the road, because you just don't get bothered by people.
That can be arranged.
But the lady that owns the cottages where we stay, they're expanding quite big. They're building another property on the side of it. It's connected to it. It's an old farm. It's still a working farm, actually, which sleeps, I think it was 6, is it 6 or 8?
I can't remember, but there's also another 2 cottages in the next barn. So they'll end up with 5 cottages.
Yeah, so you're gonna be looking at 10 people plus, which stops it being that secluded, basically. Hello. Breaking news: BitChute being closed down to all UK user. Oh, I got a BitChute channel. I'll have to check that out later on. Oh dear. These are the ones that I know Rumble was saying, fuck your censorship. BitChute has had quite a bit of censorship on it in the last year or so. I did notice it on one of the last videos I posted on there. I'm surprised that. Where did you see that, Matrix? You could just make some dun leads, Gordo. That's what I do. I got a couple of 5 ounce, a couple of 6 ounce that I sprayed fluorescent. They don't dig that deep into the ground. Sandra Polton. I shall have to look into that. Oh, hang on, what we got up here? It's a mate that keeps sending me stuff on Facebook. It's an old school friend of mine that got back in touch. So has this been closed down on orders of a court or orders of a government, Matrix? That'll be the interesting thing. I know Trump's told TikTok basically sell the American version to an American company or you can fuck right off. But TikTok is one of the worst ones out there. It's like that Kick, is it? Whatever it was. It's just full of fucking idiots. But that's typical Chinese. You know, that's what we're facing. The Chinese have got TikTok, but they're not allowed to see any of our videos from here. You know, literally, if you go and look and research what they can do and what they can't do online or anywhere in China, it will give you some idea of what we could be facing here eventually. So it's only UK account holders. That's interesting. Because BitChute was it's actually a very, very small platform, believe it or not. And it was run from Andover in Hampshire. That's their registered business address. So, just trying to... They want email address to log in. Can't remember giving an email address. Yeah, I did give an email address when I logged in. But I just set it to remember password, so I wouldn't even know. I'll just confirm that, because all the ones I need... Oh no, I have got a password for it. I'm fucked if I remember which of my email addresses I used.
I've only got 2, so it's not going to take that long.
Try and must salute, yeah. Well, that's the thing. This is a sort of woke thing I'm on about, Ray. You know, you just accidentally put your hand up like that. I mean, how many people say hi by putting their hand up like that? Or you wave to somebody in a car. Now all of a sudden, it's a Nazi salute. BitChute have done it themselves. I know they were struggling. They've been sending out emails and begging for donations and people to become members so they can earn some money. But I don't use Twitch, Gordo. I only signed up to Twitter so I can, or X as it's called now, so I can laugh at some of them on there. I do post the odd video on there, or the link to my YouTube videos, and I've posted a few memes and shared a few posts. But you got to be careful on there. There's, there are some that if you copied the meme and put it on Facebook, you'd absolutely get pulled down on Facebook. But BitChute will be discontinuing its video sharing service for UK residents because of the introduction of the Online Safety Act 23. Yeah, but that's been updated to the new one as well now, isn't it, Brian? But apparently there's still a lot of MPs, and I believe a lot of the House of Lords are questioning some of the things that are in that act, and they want to go back through it, although it's in place now. As some of us has noticed with the arguments with YouTube. Yeah, I'll have a look into that tomorrow, Brian, while I'm having a lazy time of it.
Does that mean you'll make me coffee tomorrow?
I make you coffee every bloody morning.
No, I meant through the day while I'm at work.
Oh, it's a long way to travel to bring it to you, though, isn't it?
No.
It is for me. No, it just means I haven't got to sit and go through too much shit and find stories and make notes, and I can just relax a little bit more, which would be nice.
I could take a duvet day.
You could?
Yeah.
Make her a flask. I'll just take the bloody kettle up to her, Gordo.
This company, for the first time ever, I get my birthday off. All sorts of bits and pieces. But at the drop of the hat, you can just decide you need a duvet day. I've never had that. I've got to have a duvet day.
She only works for them part-time.
But it doesn't matter whether you're full-time or part-time. Your entitlement is the same.
I don't think the legal entitlement to have a duvet day is something.
It's in my handbook.
It is. Oh, fair enough.
Babe,
So it's a company rule then.
babe, my handbook.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it.
My A4 folder.
Yeah, get her one of them coffee machines where the flask's there already on the heat, and she's just got to pour it into the cup and add a bit of milk. plays havoc with my little legs going up and down them stairs.
Oh, he does.
You get your first one in bed in the morning.
Yeah, you
On a
moan about
weekend,
that
you
one.
might get two. I do try and look after her.
Badly.
Oh, thank you.
It's got that bad now. If I want a second cup, rather than come up, get my cup, go down, make it, bring it back up, he uses a clean cup.
Well, bloody right. That's one less time up and down the stairs, isn't it? Oh, it's hilarious here in Grumpy Towers, I tell you. Absolutely hilarious sometimes. I mean, we'll sit here in the evening and we'll just rip the piss out of each other.
I've got various sizes of
hello.
flask scarf because we got them for when we go camping, when we go fishing. Because I like a cuppa. He's not so fussed, but I like my coffee, especially if it's going cold, if it's night fishing. But I've got, oh no, I gave one to Kev. I've only got 3 different sizes now.
Yeah, we got a few there. I mean, I used to take the stove and a big bottle of water and make it fresh on the beach or on the prom, like, you know. But it's just more and more to carry, and you know, fuck it, take a flask. Yeah, they're only short fishing trips, really, anyway, because of the tides there. Once the tide's gone, and it's pointless fishing there. It's too much push.
The last few times we've been, I've taken the flask, and I don't know as I've ever
drunk it. Yeah.
It sits on the side in the kitchen next to the kettle.
Yeah, but it's there if you want it, isn't it? You know,
Oh, yeah.
It's if you want to take one or you want to come and sit down on the beach for a couple of hours fishing, you can take a warm coffee with you. But we'll see this year on how it goes. I'd like to keep on doing it. It's always been a passion. Although I did stop for a few years, it was just get my head down and work. And besides that, there ain't many fucking beaches you can fish around Birmingham. So if you take up freshwater fishing, that means buying a whole new load of gear. But, a flask cup will suffice. Yeah, she's got one of them as well, Gordo. Stuart. Oh, you see all sorts, Gordo.
I've got a flask bottle that works at keeping your water cold or your wine.
Yeah, that's your usual one, isn't it? Is just take a bottle of wine, fuck the coffee. Yeah, I saw a picture of that Gordo sat in the services with a barbecue in the fucking boot. But, you know, you see a lot of that around Birmingham. You know, they'd be out on the fucking streets in some areas roasting goats and unbelievable. Oh, and there was one of, I think I posted it actually, the whole family sat in a parking spot outside the house with the fire directly on the fucking road. It looked like either a goat or a sheep. Certainly wouldn't be bacon, but yeah, just cooking away there on the street. Not a care in the fucking world. Now, if you'd done that round here, you'd have the fucking fire brigade round, you'd have the police round. Good evening, Lodger. How you doing, buddy? But, yeah, it's...
Yeah, but we're posh here.
No, but it's down to the 2-tier policing. They are allowed to get away with so much more. Yeah, I'll tell you what, Ray, when I lost my little cat, my little sidekick last year, We considered, getting another pet, but as much as I'd love another dog, neither of us are capable of giving it what it needs. We give it love, we give it food. It would have a garden where it can go out and shit. We'd clean that up. But the walks that a dog needs, we're just not capable of it.
Maybe we could get a lame dog.
Yeah, it's an idea. Get one of them fucking walking machines with the belt.
Yeah.
I can sit here and a little fucker can walk for miles.
Yeah. There's ways and means.
Yeah, I do know, Ray. I used to have Alsatians, German Shepherds, had them for years. And, I used to have to give them 5 miles a day because they were in the run all day. Yeah, I did look at the video of matey that turned his cat into a drone. Mine never used to like going away or disappearing anywhere. She only went outside when she needed to. So, but I do miss her. Or a stuffed dog. Yeah, but that means anybody comes to the door, I'll have to bark myself. It's like that copper in the video. Trying to convince him he was a canine. She's 17 this year.
That's a good age.
Good age, that Gordon. Yeah, tiny little dog. I've never been one for these handbag dogs, though, Brian. It's and I find the little ones are very, very yappy. My little one, Lodger, she gave birth to a litter of kittens on my lap. I didn't realise until she started kicking the first one out. And we were inseparable. I mean, she'd bring the kittens over and put them on my lap before she went out to do her business. She wouldn't leave them unless they were with me.
Well, you were the father.
Excuse me.
But that's how she looked at you.
Oh, yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
it? You were hers. You weren't her owner. You were hers.
That was I tried using all excuses not to get rid of the kittens, but they all went to very, very good homes.
The mean, heartless bitch that you lived with made you get rid of them.
Yeah, she made me get rid of them all. I could have kept one. It would have been company for her. There was one I wanted to keep. He was the one that was always first to come to me and climb up on my lap. But he was left and another one was left. I did keep him till last. And the lovely couple that came to have just one saw how they were and took the 2. Yeah, that's it, Ray. It's, you've either got the yappy little ones or you got Irking great big ones, and I prefer the Irking great big ones.
Yeah, me. Donna says we can borrow hers when she goes on holiday.
Oh, I couldn't cope with that bloody thing. Jesus fucking Christ. It's one of these devil dogs.
She's not. She's ever so good.
She's a fucking hooligan.
She's just boisterous. She's only a puppy.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fucking monster. Get a cow. Yeah, well, ex-father-in-law promised me an acre of land in the car and a cow. I'm still waiting for the land. Sorry, I didn't mean that, babe. It's just an old joke. No more milk bills, shit. Yeah, it would keep the grass down, save me having to get it mowed as well, wouldn't it? Yeah, I had up to, I think it was four or five I had at one time, Gordo, with the Shepherds. one was the top dog, then my sire. He was my first one. I never really did any breeding with them. Yes, there was one or two that said, well, before you get them done, we'd be interested in some puppies. And they never went to anybody other than friends of mine and other dog lovers that I knew. But mine was the only one. Ozzy, Albemarle Sabre was his kennel name. I used to call him Ozzy. I had an ex-police dog handler do the initial training with me. And then when I'd finished with him, one of the girls at the training school done show dogs. Not looks, but, agility and stuff like that. And she trained me up, and because that's what they do. They don't train your dog for you. They train you to train your dog. And they got me into all the obedience and that, and he was absolutely brilliant. But, I could walk him through the town centre off lead, and literally all he'd do is rest his head on my thigh and look up at me as we're walking. He was just looking for signals and that. He wasn't interested in what was going on around him unless I instructed him to do something. So, Adrian, hello, mate.
Well,
How's the farm going, mate? I think you said you were getting a bit tired last week, wasn't it? I know you're a bit like me. I know you've had a few medical issues in the past.
so is this good lady. Hope you both keeping well.
Yeah.
Seem to remember she hadn't been very well last time he was on. I may be wrong.
Well, the last time we really had a good conversation with him was before he fell out with Glyn.
No, he's been on since then. Come on.
Oh, Adrian has, yeah. But yeah, very tired and pissed off. I think everybody is, Adrian. I mean, within 8 months, well, within the first month, the government managed to just about piss everybody off, or those that are indigenous to this country anyway.
Can I interrupt? I'm going in the kitchen. Do you want anything?
No, I'm all right for a minute, thanks. I'll only be going for another half hour or so. But I'll tell you what, Adrian, I have been seeing a lot of reports of what they call rural crime. We used to call it cattle rustling and theft back in the day. And there's even people that have been going around, I presume, that they could be a certain demographic that are just killing animals. I think it was some llamas that got shot last time, which is very strange. Maybe they thought they were big sheep and got to them and realised they weren't. But there was still no need for it. Yeah, and there's a lot of people that are in that exact same position, Adrian. If you walk away from it, that's some sort of future gone. Handing it down. If it's your own, that's going to cost more now. And it does get ingrained. It's a way of life, As you know, I used to do a bit of work on the farm back home years ago. But that's what you used to do. You lived in a farming community. Someone needed a hand on the farm, you went and you gave it to them. You didn't ask for money. If they had enough, they'd give you some, but you've got no one to hand it down to. So basically, you'll just lose out all told. Might put a little bit of money in your bank. And I still say this is why the government are trying to force the farmers to give up I mean, Starmer's totally covered up now and clammed up on the meeting he had with BlackRock. I wouldn't be at all surprised if there was deals being done there, the same as Gates was doing in America. You know, the money buying up all the land that became available. And they're still pushing for these fucking green solar energy and fucking windmill shit, and they putting them everywhere. Yes, Ray, that is the same Adrian, yes. One of the nicest guys on the internet. But it's, you know, it's affecting everybody. It doesn't really matter what your status is. I mean, as we've seen, even the elites with all their money, you know, they're not going to take any of the shit. They took their money and they pissed off out of the country. You know, we've never seen so many millionaires, billionaires, entrepreneurs taking their businesses out of the country. I mean, the biggest one, well, this was way before this lot started, was Dyson, wasn't it? When he switched his manufacturing out to the Middle East. Well, now we might have to pay some tariffs to bring the stuff back into the country, because it would be classed as an import, wouldn't it? But maybe this shit with the tariffs on motors especially, that seems to be one of the higher ones that they're concerned about. Maybe this is just another way they're trying to do away with petrol and diesel. You know, how long before they announced, right, we're going to have huge tariffs on petrol and diesel cars coming into this country, but to push the more and more expensive everyday EVs, but we won't put so many on that. Well, they've already backtracked on the not the date of doing away with diesels and petrols, but backtracked on the rules about selling them for a few, well, what was it, 5 years, 2030. Yeah, but if you look at that, Lodger, even the EU, I mean, von der Leyen creeping to fucking Trump. She was right up his ass. Oh, we'll give you 0 for 0 tariffs. That didn't happen. So now they're like, well, fuck it, we're going to bollocks you about. It's just going to end up a huge trade war amongst all the physical wars that are going on. Yeah, it's parent company of Sky TV that are doing it, Brian. It'll absolutely kill Woburn Abbey. They reckon it's going to take up to 5 years to build. Comrade Starmer seems to think he's going to rake in millions and millions from it in the first year. But as I said earlier, I don't think they will. I think it will fail in the first year, because the way they're going, people just won't have the money to take their kids there. Oh, she's just an evil bitch, loafer, that von der Leyen. No, I mean, the EU is just about gone now anyway, isn't it? When you think about it. Most countries have backtracked on the immigration. A lot of countries don't want them there. They want them gone. Nobody's paying the fines for doing what they're doing to the EU. And, you know, there's more or less civil war in France. Germany's going that way. It's just gang warfare. And, you know, the people have had enough. They've had enough of this immigration shit. Or, more to the point, illegal immigration, I will say. You know, every country's always had policies on legal immigration. Although Britain fucked up on that, didn't they, with the old, what was the name of the boat, the people that came across originally? that are still trying to get their fucking citizenship. Yeah. I mean, we're way off the levels of self-sufficiency that we should have in this country. You know, we could be, we wouldn't be totally self-sufficient on foodstuffs. We've always had to buy in on that, but we certainly could be self-sufficient in energy and stuff like that if they thought about it. But, you know, it's just going to cost more and more. If these new homes get built, they'll all have charging points. There's a very, very big drain on the system. In fact, well, they'll probably go ahead now. Now they're doing all the red tape, doing away with a lot of the red tape. But there was quite a few large housing estates planned around London. And I think it was last year the planning got turned down simply because they couldn't provide the infrastructure that was needed for those new homes. I mean, the water companies, they can't cope with the demand and the fucking waste now. What are they going to do with millions and millions of more houses coming online? Yeah, exactly, Lodger. And Starmer's trying to take us back into it through the back door. Well, I'm sorry, if we have had a referendum to come out, then before we go back in, there should be another referendum. And it's the EU laws and the EU courts that have fucked us up trying to deport people with these silly fucking excuses they come out with. Yeah, where we holiday, Scar, the beaches are quite clean, but they do put up warnings because they do get polluted. And this is out in the middle of nowhere in Cumbria, mind. And you sit on any beach, anywhere near where we are, probably for 20 miles down the coast, all you got is a bloody great big wind farm off the Welsh coast across the estuary.
Eh? Scottish.
Scottish, sorry, Welsh. Fuck am I on about? Scottish.
Sorry, yeah. I had to correct you there, dear. I know what you meant, but didn't know everybody else would.
The trouble is, Brian, China, if a lot of it isn't publicised, but they've been buying up and opening businesses in this country, financing big projects for a long, long time. I believe even one of the nuclear power stations that they're building is Chinese funded. You know, so oh no, we're not going to have any of that. No, we're not having anything to do with Britain. Boom, there goes your fucking nuclear industry. Yeah, things changing every day, Brian, unfortunately. And sometimes it is, you know, I've cut down on the amount of videos I do due to my health. But I'll make notes for a video. By the time I've come to record it, it's changed again, you know. Yeah, communism by the back door, socialism, absolutely right. Absolutely. Although it does seem more like 1984, the movie, not the reality of 1984, obviously.
Things were good in 1984.
1984 was good. That was me and my heyday was the 80s. That was when I was a fit, muscle-bound hooligan of a biker.
But he was only 40 years out.
Yeah. You know, back in the 80s, I could afford to race my cars. I could afford to buy a house. I could afford to fucking buy motorcycles. And you could do a lot of it with one decent wage coming in, which I was on back then as well, funny enough. With the price of everything nowadays, there is a crisis in this country. And as I said a little while back, for a few weeks now, my Union flag has been flying upside down because I believe this country is in danger. It is in crisis. I mean, if you want to see where this country's going to, look at Iran. They had a few years back all the women on the street dressed in Western clothes, same as what the English girls were. They had freedom to do what they want. And then all of a sudden Islam landed properly and totally fucked the country over. You look at what they got now. He got married on the day of the Brixton riots, by the way. Oh, lovely. So you didn't have any fireworks. You just sat out on the balcony and watched the glow over the houses. Yeah, and he openly promoted it as that, didn't he? A warning to mankind, Brian. I mean, I've got one of the early paperbacks in the drawer here, and I've got the CD of the latest one as well. Oh, yeah, the latest one. It's a few years old now, but
quite a few years old.
And it's
John Hurt was a young man.
So was Richard Burton. Yeah, you can see the similarities to what's actually going on. Yeah, believe it or not, Brian, they the normal TV on Freeview actually had the Animal Farm film on a few times a little while back, only a couple of months ago.
Oh, it comes up quite regularly.
But I don't think, kids will watch it because it's a cartoon and it's got animals. Or it's sad when the animals get hurt and stuff like that. That they don't know the real sort of meaning behind that film or behind that book. And a lot of people back in the 80s and 90s, if you mentioned Animal Farm, they obviously thought of another video that was doing the rounds at the time.
Only the boys did. The girls didn't know about it.
And believe me, I've seen that, and it was sickening. Absolutely sickening. We had one of the lads round. We had about half a dozen of us, maybe a few more. One of the lads got hold of a copy of it and said, well, let's watch it and see what we think. And one of the lads, Wookie, what was Steve, I think his name was. I mean, he was nearly 7 foot. He'd been a bouncer since he left school, basically. Within a couple of minutes, he was outside throwing up. We didn't get to the end of it. I think we lasted about 5 minutes, and I just said, I'm not having that shit on. But, we saw what it was about. There's probably still copies of it out there now, but I certainly wouldn't watch it. I wouldn't go anywhere near it. And I believe it was made illegal anyway. But yeah, there was some very... You think some of the things that they put in the news nowadays and online are depraved. Believe me, most of those have got absolutely fuck all on what was on that video. It was a horrible thing. But, as I say, back in the 80s, you had to have watched it. It was a talked about thing. The poor version, it was absolutely vile. Yeah, so, anybody that's seen it will know. So a lot of the older generation will know what I was talking about. Yeah, I used to say something along the same lines, Stuart. Never eat anything with more than four legs, and never sleep with anything with more than two. Yes, that is open to interpretation with some animals, but the other one used to be never fly in a jet if the pilot's wearing a turban. Well, those that wear turbans are mainly sheiks, and they're good guys. So why somebody stuck that in the end of it, I don't know, but. You're from West Norwood. I've been all over the place, Lodger. I was actually born in a small town in Berkshire, which is now in Oxfordshire. I went down to the West Country for many years, and the last 20 years I've been up here in Birmingham. I have lived other places around the country, mainly for work. Seek and thou shalt find.
But you found a cheap bed and breakfast there?
Well, yeah, and a chef.
Well, I said bed and breakfast.
Yeah. I mean, I never had an upper education. I passed every CSE and O-level, A-levels as they were back then. Every one I took, I passed. Quite a few of them with A's. It is at the moment, Lodger. It started in mainly a couple of areas. I won't say what sort of demographic the areas were, but it's quite obvious. Here, we're not too bad at the moment. I've noticed because we've had the bins out now for a few weeks. We don't create that much rubbish here, maybe one bag a week. But another couple of bags in there, ours will be overflowing. Next door, their lid's already up and a couple of bags sat on top. You've got to let them find out for themselves, Stuart. You've got to let them find out for themselves. But as far as I'm concerned, anybody that joins the army now isn't going to get trained to be a soldier. They're just going to be indoctrinated. I hate to say it, they'll be like the American Marines. If they haven't got someone telling them what to do, they're lost.
Oh, God, oh. One of these days, you will tell us a good joke.
I actually got chased out of a Chinese many years ago. And again, it was a Chinese chip shop, that did Chinese food as well, takeaway. And I jumped up and sat on the counter, which they weren't too bothered about. It was when I leant over, looked down the fucking back of the counter, all these little slant-eye guys running around with baskets of chips and shit like that. They just come out with funny little fuckers, didn't they? And that was it. Two of them come running out the fucking kitchen. One looked like he had a meat cleaver in his hand. I left without my order. Very rapidly. Yeah, that was some time ago. That was in Wallingford, actually.
Got to be some time ago because you were able to jump on the counter.
I was only in my late teens. And I'd obviously had beer on board, otherwise I wouldn't have said something like that. But yeah, coming from a rural area, I hate cities anyway. I never had much to do anywhere, living in a city. Even Bristol, took me about a year living just outside the city centre up at Totterdown. Before I said, fuck it, we're going to move out of the city. And I bought a house in Shirehampton, which is away up the valley there, as they say, the Avon Valley. It was actually nice having to drive under the Clifton Suspension Bridge every day to get to work. But yeah, I wasn't really happy there. It was just too close to the city for my liking. The only time I've been in the city here, actually into Birmingham Centre, as I said before, was when I went back to college a few years back while I was recovering from my bypass, to learn how to use computers, funny enough. I did a college course there. That was up near the Jewellery Quarter, but I used to have to get the bus into the centre to get up to there. It was about a half-hour walk, but it was a nice walk. And then I did another couple of courses in Digbeth, which isn't a very desirable area at all. You used to come out and see all the roaches on the corner. And I don't mean cockroaches. By roach, I mean certain other roaches. Some people will know what I'm talking about there. Yeah, well, this was a thing years ago, wasn't it, Brian, with the unemployment up north? People always said, why are there so many northerners in the army? Again, I'm going back to the 80s, 90s and that. And it was the fact, my sister's husband, he admitted he's a Yorkshire lad. And he said there was just nothing else for us. And our only option for employment or earn money was to join up. But the amount of military personnel that they're losing every month now. I mean, the top brass have told them that there's no way you could send any of our guys in force to Ukraine because we just haven't got enough. They sold off a lot of the equipment. And to me, it just wouldn't be a viable thing now. Yeah, exactly, sir. I mean, I knew a few people. Most of my original bike club were serving. That's why they used to call it the 1WDMCC. It was First War Department Motorcycle Club. I'm still in touch with some of them. Sadly, one of them passed a little while back, but another very good friend of mine, he's actually the president of the club now. He actually got thrown out of the engineers, no less. They got into some trouble in Germany and set light to, I think it was a bloody diesel fuel dump or something. So they got 2 years, 1 year Colchester DD'd and another year in a civvy nick. They thought they'd just get chucked out, save paying the money to get out, and realised it wasn't going to happen. But apparently now they were trying to, the top brass of the army were trying to put things in place by changing the contracts or whatever it is they sign to prevent them buying themselves out. A lot of them at the moment are actually buying themselves out. I mean, there was the talk about conscription. I mean, that's never going to work with a lot of the wokies now that they'd sweep up. Not a fucking chance. I wouldn't trust the bastards with a pop gun, let alone a fucking rifle. What's the time? Oh, we'll keep going for another 10 minutes or so, quarter of an hour. Yeah, Lodger, it was, I'd lost touch with just about everybody from back home and back in the day. I kept in touch with a good mate of mine, the lad I was on about, the bike club president. But we very rarely chatted. And Heather set me up with Facebook. And it got me talking, and I found a lot of my old school friends on there. Some that I never used to get on with. There's 3 of them that still think I'm a fucking legend. Because of some of the antics I used to get up to. But yeah, it's, you know, it brings back a lot of memories when I chat to them. And, you know, we go over some of the good times we had. One of the lads used to come drag racing with us. A couple of lads on there I used to do banger racing and circuit racing with. But yeah, I won't say they were happier times. They were better times.
They were different.
I mean, I'm very happy with where my life has ended up now. Not happy with what's going on around it, the outside influences. But I've been a lot happier for the last 20 years, put it that way. And that's down to the person you see behind me there.
Still say it's the cheap digs.
Not anymore. They won't scar. They said they're stopping it, haven't they? They're stopping all direct action. I think they realised that nobody was playing with them once they started locking them up for a few years for throwing a can of soup at a picture. Rightly so. I mean, you know, they just disrupted traffic, tried to destroy and deface history. You know, they just, and a lot of them, they were either young, unemployed little upstarts that had been indoctrinated, or they were pensioners that got fuck all else to do. Oh, we'll kick up about that. You know, if they had any brains, they could see that a lot of oil being used has been stopped. And this is why we're in the shit now. But yeah, they agreed and put a statement out a little while back, a few weeks back, saying that there wouldn't be any more direct action, as they called it, from them. Yeah, that's what I said, Stuart. You know, they alienated the people by what they were doing rather than trying to get those people on side. You know, you don't follow us, you don't support us, we're going to stop you driving down the road. To me, I mean, I never come across any here, but to me, they'd have been just seen as fucking speed humps, and that's how I'd have probably treated the fucking idiots. Again, you know, that's my attitude, but it'd have probably got me arrested, but
well, yeah,
I'd have made me point. You know, the guys that, well, there was a couple of them got up on the fucking signpost above the N25 across the gantries, dangling there on ropes, held up for God knows how many hours. Well, fuck it, they put themselves in danger. Just go up there and cut the fucking rope. You know,
you're so caring.
I am.
Fuck them.
I always remember it was that darts tournament where I played Bobby George that we went up to Plymouth for.
Oh yeah, I remember it well.
I had to travel up from Newquay. I'd got through in a competition and was playing against Bobby George in Plymouth. So we decided the lads were going to hire a minibus and we'd all go up in this minibus to watch me play. We got drinking, obviously, afterwards. And coming back, the Tamar Bridge was shut down. Load of police there, fucking lights, fucking helicopter, and we were sat in this queue for about 2 hours. You know, it was getting on for like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the fucking morning.
Good night,
And it
little
turns
Stitch.
out, Stitch off, is she?
Little Stitch says good night.
See you, little Stitch. Take care, little buddy.
I don't know where the Stitch is off. Sorry.
Yeah, it was a guy threatening to jump. And the lads in the minibus took it upon themselves to get out the minibus, walk a few hundred yards down the road and started shouting, "Jump, you fucker, we want to get home." Jump or get down. They got ushered away by the police. But the police, I mean, today, that accident with the police cars, I don't quite know the ins and outs of it. But 7 of them ended up in hospital and quite a few wrecked cars. One on its side absolutely torn to bits. One with the roof missing, but that looks like it had been cut off by the emergency services. Trying to stop a speeding Beamer. But yeah, I think they destroyed, I think it was at least 3 of the cars that they were in. But looking at the cars in the pictures and the reports, it looked like it was they were trying to do a T-pack manoeuvre. It probably went horribly wrong, but I might be wrong about that. But 2 people were arrested. So.
Well, they stopped them from going any further. That
yeah.
They did achieve that.
But it'd be interesting to see if there's any motorway cameras picked it up, and and the video will come out eventually. Oh, I know poor Ray. Sleeping in bus shelters. I was homeless for a little while. But there again, I picked myself back up from that. Got on with life. But there you go. Right, guys. Piss poor was saying. I'm going to call that it. We've got to the grand time of 9 o'clock. And I really wish I could carry on for a bit longer. But the fatigue has just got the better of me now. I certainly wouldn't be able to do what we used to do on Pap's live streams and sit up till 2, 4 o'clock in the bloody morning. I'd be dead.
Can I just say to Roger there, I've got a feeling piss poor came from the fact that they were the people that collected up the takings of the day, night, whatever, to pass on to manufacturers of tweed and things.
No, I think you'll find it was you couldn't afford to have your privy emptied. Because what they used to do, they used to actually pay a little bit towards it, but they used to take the piss off to use as in manufacturing the gunpowder.
Oh, sorry, it's gunpowder rather than tweed.
Yeah.
That's what I'm on about, darling, but that's where the piss poor came from.
But that's where the saying, you spend a penny came from.
That's from the public toilet.
No, it was back before that, I think you'll find. But anyway, guys, as always, thank you ever so much for dropping in tonight and being the respectful crowd that you always are. It's a shame a lot of YouTube channels couldn't be the same. Although I haven't looked around to see if there's any of the trouble channels out there anymore that do streams. I dare say there is, but I don't take part in it all. But until the next time, as always, it's good night from me.
And good night from me.
And stay safe, stay strong, and stay absolutely free from the corruption and the bullshit. Look after yourselves, guys. And if you need to, look after somebody else as you can. Take care, everybody.
Night all.